Hi, and welcome to Mark Borax's live Ruby Heart stream. My name is Marcella, and we're excited to welcome you into the space today. Couple of announcements before we dive in. One is that beginning next Saturday, Mark's going to be offering a 6-week class called Pluto in Aquarius during the year of the cat. So for many of you may already be aware, but Pluto is going to be making a shift out of the sign of Capricorn into the sign of Aquarius. And Mark is going to have a 6-week class kind of delving into the themes that we can look forward to. And today, Mark's going to be exploring the first chapter of his new book that's coming out in May, The Ruby Heart of the Dragon. And today he'll be going into finger pointing at the moon, how to douse your way through life. So I'll turn it over to you, Mark.
Okay, thanks. Howdy, everyone. I put the finishing touches on my book manuscript yesterday after 4 years and 2.5 months of writing 7 days a week. I got my final edits back from my editor, who's down in Mexico, and I added my final edits to her final edits. And then this morning, or no, actually yesterday afternoon, I sent the manuscript off to Olaf in Chicago, who's going to do the interior design. So I feel a little bit like a brand new parent. I'm like, oh my God, my baby's out of my hands. And it just happened not even 24 hours ago. So I'm really feeling shaky, like a new parent. But I'm also very excited to start sharing the real meat, or if you're a vegetarian, the real tofu of the information with you through these live streams. And today I'm talking about finger pointing at the moon, how to douse your way through life. And so I'm going to read you the opening section of the first chapter. The first sign doesn't precipitate out of thin air like Athena fully grown from the head of Zeus, but like life on earth did, emerges from the sea. The zodiac, which is Arabic for circle of animals, describes 12 variations of human nature that are also 12 stages of consciousness we cycle through. So the signs are each their own thing, their own country, their own dimension, their own worlds, but they're also a cycle of consciousness that we channel through, not from life to life to life, as if reincarnation were just really flat and mechanical. It's not like in one life you're an Aries and the next one you're a Taurus and so forth. But we cycle through, in the course of our lives, we cycle through the progression of these 12 stages of consciousness that are also 12 separate signs. The Piscean sea of merged consciousness, which is the 12th sign, completes the cycle and gives way in Aries to the light of a new dawn, which begins the journey all over again. Out of spirit comes matter. Out of cosmos came earth. Out of the collective fusion that occurs at the end of the zodiac comes the quest for individuation that starts it off, which will undergo many twists and turns before making it back to the sea. So the zodiac is a 12-stage journey of individuation. That's not all it is, but that's one of its main themes. That's probably its main theme, a cycle of individuation, meaning that there's these 12 rays, there's these 12 stages, these 12 magics, these 12 karmas that on the road toward discovering who you are, which is individuation, which involves dissolving the false self, the conditioned self, and releasing your authentic nature. That's the quest of the zodiac. And there's 12 sequential stages on the way there. Aries is on fire to prove it's alive, a thing of its own, separate from what came before. Raw desire at its most basic, freshly arrived and stoked to learn what everything's all about. Aries isn't one of the more elaborate and sophisticated signs. Being first, it's not about making sure all is in place, but simply getting things off to a good start. Along with initiating the 12-stage journey, the forward thrust of Aries occasionally launches other momentums, some that reinforce its progress, and some that reinforce Newton's third law of motion, Isaac Newton, which states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Like a young ram, Aries often learns what something's about by bashing into it and seeing what happens. So out of the sea, the oceanic consciousness of Pisces, the merged state of the last sign of the zodiac, we enter the first sign. And Aries is on fire to prove it's alive. We all have all the 12 signs within us. So the Aries part of you, whether you're an Aries sun sign or whether you're not, the Aries part of you is on fire to prove it's alive. And that's the flame of being. That's the flame of creative individuation. That's the flame of burning away everything that isn't truly you. That's the start of Aries. Aries isn't the culmination of that journey of individuation by any means. Aries is the start of it. It's the spark. It's the urge to take the creative joy within you, the joy at being alive, at being who you are, and spark that spark. See if you becoming more authentic ignites authenticity all around you, in your environments, in the people around you, in the thought forms around you. And if there was any time in the history of humanity on Earth that we needed to spark new creative thought forms, new joy at being alive, this is that time. Because humanity has gotten sludgy and weighed down with false stories, false concepts, stuck energies, hyper-polarized political fear. And a counterforce to that is the bright Aries energy of I'm alive. I'm alive. And so is everything. And maybe, just maybe, we have something to do with each other. Maybe the aliveness spark in me, if freely offered, ignites the aliveness of everything else all around me. And so Aries is on fire to prove it's alive. Aries is the one in you who knows that life is a discovery walk that comes alive the moment you do. If the zodiac signs were parts of speech, Aries would be a verb. Aries is not so much a thing as an action. So the zodiac signs can be seen as colors, as types of music. Scorpio would be opera, force, great, tremendous primal forces clashing. If Aries were a part of speech, it would be a verb. Aries isn't a thing, it's an action. And that part of us gets freed when we feel that there is some force out there in the world that is streaming directly toward us, directly toward you. And there's an equal force of aliveness rising up and streaming out of you toward it. Aries is the contact point of something coming alive within you simultaneously with something coming alive in the cosmos streaming toward you. But here's the catch. That aliveness stream coming from the cosmos toward you can miss you unless your own inner aliveness reaches out and contacts it. And that's the contact point. It's very much like dowsing. It's not like academic papers. It's not like that side of the mind. Aries isn't trying to think its way through life. It's trying to douse its way through life. And we all have Aries within us. And so the Aries part of you is on fire, avid to spread the joy of existence. And it's so strong that it magnetically draws a like force out of the universe toward you, but you may miss. You might miss each other if the conditioned mind and the programmed obsolete stories of the New York Times just pound your joy and your love into oblivion. So that aliveness spark, it's like a dowser. The dowser doesn't go into the yard and say, there's the sun, there's the southwest corner. I will walk over to this part of the yard and see if there's water. That's way too slow. That's way too sludgy. The dowser holds a dowsing rod and walks around the yard until they feel their forearms tingle. Got it. Aries. Two things finding each other. Whoa, it's invisible. If I pull away from it, no, it's laying down. If I go toward it, yes, there it is. That's right where it is. I'm going that way. That is so much quicker and more instantaneous and less egotistical than the mind, than the judgment mind thinking, what should I do in my life? Where should I find water? You can't think, where should I find my life? Your life is the water. You can douse your way through life. The period in my life where I did this more than ever, more than any other time for 2 years, was 1998 to 2000. Because in 1998, I just was coming out of a 2-year period where my mother died, my father died, my grandmother died, my uncle died, my girlfriend left me. I had a health crisis and I lost my money. And I was in Santa Cruz. And every time in those 2 years I got up off the mat, I was like a boxer who got whumped right back down again. Oh no, another death. Oh my God, Wendy's leaving me. Holy shit. And I thought of the Zen parable of the hermit who lives in the mountains with only a robe, a begging bowl, and sandals. And one day, the hermit is bathing in the river, and he comes out of the river. And as he comes out of the river, he sees a thief making off with the robe and the begging bowl, and he picks up the sandals and says, "Hey, you forgot these." And I realized that's what I needed to do after everyone died and my girlfriend left me. I didn't need to try and grab back and make everything come back. I had to give away even more. So I let go of my job. I didn't know if I'd ever do another astrology reading again in my life. I went on the radio show, Seeing Beyond, on a skyscraper in San Francisco. And I told everyone in the listening audience from Hawaii to Eastern California and Oregon down to San Diego, I said, I've been doing this work here for Santa Cruz for 15 years in the Bay Area, and I might not do it anymore. So if anyone wants a reading, you should call me up now because I'm going to take off. I did a bunch of readings. I inherited a modest inheritance from all those family deaths. And I bought a brand new Harley Davidson off its showroom floor in Seattle. It was black and chrome. I called it Blackie, a 1998 lowrider, big engine Harley with footboards. I was in my glory. It's like, all right, Wendy's gone. All my family's dead. I got no job, no money, no home. I got rid of all my possessions, except I had my mother's ashes in my saddlebag. And my mom had always wanted to go to Europe, where her parents came from, but she never made it. So I decided to fly my motorcycle to Europe and ride through the US and Europe. And until my mom's birthday, September 30th, I was going to free her ashes somewhere over there in the old country. I got on that motorcycle and I dowsed my way through the world for 2 years. I had no home. I had no schedule. I had no watch. I had no cell phone. It was 1998. I just rode from Seattle to Boston. I had Blackie crated and shipped to London. And then I flew to London and I picked up Blackie and I rode to the mountains of Tuscany, Italy, where I ended up living for a year. On my mom's birthday, I rode up into the mountains to the monastery of St. Francis, and I released her ashes on her birthday. And what I learned was, if I'm riding that Harley through the world, I'm dowsing that white striped line. I'm feeling the vibrations through my body. If I want to go left, there's nothing in the universe to keep me from going left. If I want to go right, I could go right. If I want to ride all night, I'll ride all night. If I find someone and fall in love with her, I could stay there. Anything could happen. And I used that motorcycle like some people use a dowsing rod, because I couldn't think where my new life is going to come from. Should I do astrology again? Am I going to live in Europe? Am I going to go back to the States? Where am I going to go? I had no fucking idea. And that was the best thing about it, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to have an idea. I wanted to douse it. I wanted to find where the real water was. Those handlebars of that 1998 lowrider were my dowsing rod. I'm just going to douse my way. For 2 years, I just rode through the world and I wrote songs and stayed in Italy for a year and then came back, moved to Harbin Hot Springs in Northern California in the year 2000, where about 4 years later, I ended up meeting Marcella in the water. And it's a pretty cool love story because we were both naked. And I mean, how many people, when you ask them, how'd you guys meet? Well, we were both naked because so was everyone else. We were in the warm pool under the fig trees. The fig tree had like a 12-foot branch that would fill with fig leaves right over the waters. And there's this naked redhead and I'm looking at her and I'm starting to come back in my body by having doused my way through those other earlier years. So there's a way to live your life like Aries, which is something's coming toward you, but you can't find it until you meet it. And so you need some of that. You need some of that cockiness. You need some of that mischievous Aries cockiness. It's just, I don't give a shit the way everything's been done before. This is how I'm going to do it. You know, we had a lot of that in the 1960s. I don't care how this thing has been done before. I'm going to do it the way that I'm going to do it, the way that feels right. You need some of that cockiness because Aries is the son rebelling against the father. It's Prometheus the Titan stealing fire from Zeus, the king of the gods, and bringing it down the mountain to the mortals who need it in order to outgrow the dark ages, which actually we're still trying to do. So we need that Aries fire. We need that Aries torch. I'm going to pause to see if my support team has found any people who want to ask questions or have any other concerns to praise or challenge my breakdown of the first sign.
Well, I'm not sure if you're gonna like this or not, but you don't have any challengers today, Mr. Borax.
Oh, it's
We
great. So you're not going to challenge me. Oh, good to hear it.
Oh, well, I'm not saying I'm not gonna challenge you. I'm
Well, you
just saying
just did. You just
we
said I
don't
didn't
have
have
any
any
challenges with
challengers. If I don't have any challengers, you just discluded yourself. I'm sorry. You can't challenge me now because you said you wouldn't.
So, but we do have a great question, and the question came in from Danielle, and they are asking, "How can you balance Aries when it's such a when it's so powerful?"
Great, beautiful question. And it's the answer is through the experience that helps a child learn the use of its force. You can only balance Aries. You can't balance Aries power by suppressing it. That's only going to make it 10 times as strong. And it's like sexuality. Even if you're not going to make love with anyone, you still have strong sexuality. If you suppress that, if it's like a volcano suppressing magma, it's gonna get even more supercharged. So you have to realize that when a child is learning what it's really made of, a lot of that comes from hurling itself at something and seeing what happens. If I throw myself at that door, is the door going to open? Is the door going to break? Is my stomach going to break? Is my mother going to yell at me? I mean, you can't really learn those lessons without experiencing it. But you also have to be careful not to overdo it, not to use so much force that you fail to recognize the impact of your effects on others or the impact of your effects on the earth. And so you can't suppress it, but you can't totally release it indiscriminately. It's the lesson of a child learning how to use its force. That's what balances it. Experience, the wisdom of experience, and the ability to tune in and see how others are receiving your actions and your energies and your intentions. It's natural for Aries to act and throw off this energy. It's a learned skill to follow it and see the effect it has on others and on the world and the universe. That's how you balance Aries. That's how Aries matures. That's the initiation. That's the shamanic tunnel of rite of passage.
Excellent. I really appreciate that, Mark. It really brings to life the idea of how important engagement is. Just that Aries engagement is so essential in life. And at the same time, the maturing of that can allow it to take so many different forms.
Yeah,
So it's at choice. It's like Aries at choice.
that's right. It's right because there's a beautiful flower and there's a gardener. And the gardener can't control and decide the fate of the flower entirely by herself. The garden plays a strong role in the fate of the flower, as does the sun and the winds, but the gardener is in between all of that. They don't have to control it, but they can't afford to ignore it. And so when you're the guardian of your power, when you're the guardian of your sexuality, when you're the guardian, the gardener and the guardian of your Shakti, of your actions and of your energies, it doesn't mean you have to control it or stop it or totally let it do whatever the hell it wants. But sooner or later, you'll go through all of those extremes and then learn what happens. Oh, shit. Whoa, sexuality. I way overdid that. Holy shit. But wow. I mean, that was pretty kick-ass stuff that happened then. And if I can glean the lesson underneath the pyrotechnics and the fireworks, well, then it was all worth it, And so it's that power. It's the power, the energy to connect, which you can overdo, you can underdo, you can do the warp version of it. Like most human beings are doing all over the world, the warp is that anything other than love is important. That's the warp. Billions of people are living their life as if love were not the most important thing. And so when you make the mistakes of using power in the name of love, those are mistakes that the universe can really reward. If you can talk about rewarding a mistake, right? And so when you realize that nothing is more important than love, and that's the only reason that you're here, you just got to find your version of it. See, the what of it is easy. You're here for love. People ask me, what's my soul purpose? What's my life purpose? That's the easiest question I ever get. You're here for one reason, honey. You are here to love and never stop loving, but you got to find out what that means and where it lives in you and how deep it is. You got to honor that love. It's not just all you need is love. It's, yeah, all you need is love. And you got to follow it. And that's the Aries urge. I don't know where this is going, but I got to follow it. It's like, I don't know where that Harley ride is going to take me, but I don't know what hitchhiking to California at 16 years old from Stratford, Connecticut. I don't know where that was going to go, but I got to go. I got to do it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm kind of getting the idea from what you're sharing on this person's question, which has just been really beautiful. Thank you for asking it. Is the idea that there's a difference between acting out and acting in. And so some of that Aries energy, when it acts out, has a certain form and an expression to it. And as it gets matured, there's some ways in which it's not like you're acting in, but you learn an inner way to be able to maybe work with some of the similar energies.
That's right. That's right. And because there are so many yous inside of you, there's not just one you. There are so many different ones inside you that when your willingness is to connect one or more of those with something coming toward you from the universe, oh, that lights up this part of me. Wow, here I am 68 years old. That part of me hasn't been lit since I was 17. Isn't that cool? Something's coming toward me and there's something in me. It feels familiar, but it's got to be new again to be real in the present moment. And that the Aries part of us is real and in the present moment. When Aries gets too far away from that, they're getting all fouled up and the mind backs up. The brain starts fuming. Smoke comes out of the ears. I'll figure this out. I'll mentalize this. I'll analyze this. I will calculate my way into love. and that's just because that's not Aries' strength. The strength is it's the Dowser. There's water. My forearms are tingling. Here's Mark on his motorcycle in 1998, riding through the world. Wow, my forearms are tingling. Whoa, this is a big 500-pound dowsing rod I'm driving. And so, yeah, that's Aries. It doesn't have to finish things. That's not its job. It's nowhere near that. Other signs are going to take what Aries launches and carry that. It's like the torch we lit in the 60s. We lit a torch of freedom and love. And Aries has to light that and pass it and not be overly concerned with what's going to happen with it. That's the job of other signs. But we're always at Aries because we're always starting over again. Mm-hmm. And so there's always a spark in you, but you got to really work it. You got to know it's there, or it's going to get damp. It's going to go out. So it takes willingness for the Aries spark. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off today?
No, I just want to thank you. We didn't have any more questions and comments today. And for those of you that are planning to join us next week, we'll always leave the last, 10 minutes for people to have question comments. I talked more this time because we didn't have more question comments, but I do have the capacity to not talk as much. So I really look forward to next week's. And I'm not sure if there's any other announcements that we have, Mark.
You got some groovy closing music ready?
I can put on some groovy closing music. We don't quite have a groovy closing thank you yet, but that's coming next week. So y'all want to join us as we get our live streams decked out with all this.
We need a theme song. I'll probably have to write a theme song. That's what's going to have to happen here.
That would be great because our options right now that are not with copyright.
I'll write a theme song and I'll get Derek to accompany me and record it. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll produce the theme. Got it. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, take care.